Hello and welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Lessons Beyond the Stethoscope, where we provide practical health tips and tools that you can use in your everyday life. Because what we understand is your life overall can affect your health. I am your host, Dr. Ashley Booth. I'm a board certified family medicine physician, and I'm also the owner of Healing Beyond the Stethoscope Primary Care, located in Garden City, Georgia. On this episode, we are going to talk about healthy productivity, some healthy habits that you can use to increase your productivity. And today we have joining us is the Deputy Director of Healthy Savannah, Armand Turner, and his focus is making healthy choices an easy choice for all residents of Chatham County. So thank you for joining us on today.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Booth. I'm so excited and happy to be here. I'm glad you invited me.
Absolutely. Listen, let me tell you guys how we ended up with this, and I'm thankful that he said yes because we were at a conference and he gave a snippet of this speech about healthy productivity, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, like my mind was blown." I was like, "I just did not think about that, but it makes so much sense." So like once he finished, I like pulled him to the side and I was like, "You want to come on my show?" And he was like, sure, absolutely. But it's because it's important because when we think about productivity is mainly like how efficient are you? How well can you get the task done in a certain amount of time? And the better you are at doing that, the more productive you are. Then it says that you can get a lot more tasks done a lot quicker. And then you have like some extra time left over and you can do a lot more with that extra time because everybody wants extra time to do the stuff that they really enjoy doing, right?
Mhm.
And a lot of us are like, I want to reclaim my time. I want my time back. And I totally understand. But the issue is with productivity, it requires a lot of energy. It requires like your mental energy. It requires like even some emotional energy, some physical energy. And what happens is a lot of us are spent and our energy is like done. And that's why we start to notice that there are a lot of issues that affect our productivity. Things like being stressed out, things like having too much to do. We're overwhelmed because we have this to-do list that is a mile long and it's like, how am I supposed to get it all done? I'm supposed to be productive trying to do it, but I'm just overwhelmed thinking about it. Like, tell me some of the barriers that you've also seen that kind of hinder people or affect their productivity.
Yeah, it's kind of like a cycle, right? You need energy to be productive, but you know that you get energy when you're being productive. So if you're not, then you're just kind of stuck in that loop. And so it it really comes down to really scheduling time in your schedule to be more physically active, to make healthier choices, and from that you become more productive. The CDC says we should get 150 minutes a week of physical activity. And if you achieve that, there's a ton of health benefits that follow. If you're physically active, you see things like increased energy, which you need, increased concentration levels, higher outlooks on your job and just life in general. So I was really trying to figure out how can we do something that is in the course of our regular day, that allows us to be physically active, so that we're not going out of our way to gain that extra umph, but it's part of our already routine.
I like that part because you're saying like making it a part. Because see, this is what happens, and I know people gonna say you're probably talking about me. And the reason I'm talking about you is because I'm talking about myself. I'm one of those who like I want to get my task done, and I see it like in front of me, and I get tunnel vision. I'm like, I got to get it done. Do. And so you work until sometimes you get it done. But when you do that, you may not be eating properly. Or you don't eat. I have a lot of people say, "Oh, I worked right through lunch," or "I worked right through whatever." So you have that happens. You get like sometimes you may not sleep depending on the type of project that you're working on. You're staying up so long, you're not getting the sleep. But at the end of it, there's nothing left because you have worked and expended so much energy that now you have nothing left. So I like that you're saying that one, we have to build it in kind of to our schedule. and making time for it. And so what I've noticed is making like little breaks, even though we don't want to, making some of those breaks and incorporating some of those in there, because the benefit is you will get, like you said, you can actually get more energy, you can feel more creative, you can kind of continue to want to do more. What are some of the other things like we can start incorporating? Because you talked about the exercise
Mhm.
and 150 minutes, and people are like, I don't have 150 minutes
Mhm.
a week to put in there. So how can they start doing some of that?
Yeah, so the goal is to replenish that, right? You talk about how much energy we expend just trying to get through the workday and hit all of our to-do list items, but we're not putting anything back into ourselves. We're not refilling up that glass. And there's some easy ways you can do it. Some tips or suggestions that I try to give people. Number one is schedule it into your workday the same way you build out your schedule or your to-do list at the beginning of the day. Put in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes in that schedule for me to take a break. And when you do take those breaks, make good use of them. Some things I always encourage is if you're at work, get up and walk around the building. There's huge benefits just from getting some sunlight. And depending on your job, you may be in your cubicle, you may be in your house at your desk all day, and you don't realize that you haven't been out in the sun in forever. So get outside, walk around your building, walk around your block. I like to walk my dog during my breaks, and we'll take a just a quick loop around my block. So work that into your daily routine. Another thing, if you're working away from home, once you get to work, think about parking at the back of the parking lot and walking up to the door. Even when I'm at the grocery store or Walmart, you always get you see the park at the very front, you're going to jet to it every single time because it's easier. But just consider parking at the back of the lot and taking that, what is it, 2, 3, 4 minute walk from the back of the lot to the front of the grocery store. And you'd be amazed at how much of those 150 minutes that you're scratching off for the week just by doing that every time you go to work.
Now that's a good point, because the 150 minutes, at one time it made it seem like you had to do 30-minute like solid every day, 5 days a week, and that's how you get your 150. But they're now saying that you can do those small spurts. So now it makes me feel a little bit better, and not saying, okay, I'm gonna keep circling this parking lot and wait for this person to get on out that short right, so that I can get in there. It's okay. I can park to the back, and this can count towards my 150 minutes. This is my
Yes.
5 minutes that I can take longer to walk in there. Keep going, because I just felt like that was a great point. Because a lot of people think about that 150 and I don't have time, but you can break those
Mhm.
150 up.
And you don't feel so bad about having
Right,
a bad park, right?
right, right.
Another one I always suggest is taking the stairs.
Mhm.
And depending on where you work, you may work at the top floor. Say you work on the 20th floor. Obviously, you don't want to go up 20 flights of stairs before you start your workday, but go up to the 18th floor and then walk up the remaining two. Just figure out what works best for you, and figuring out how I can incorporate just being a little more physically active in my workday to the point where it doesn't even hinder my usual schedule.
Right. The other thing that someone else mentioned that I wanted to make a point of it is, we're talking about like our exercise, and we'll touch on some more things like diet and stuff too. But I definitely want to touch on what they said was they actually had to let a second job go because it was affecting their balance, their health balance, and what they needed to do. And that's the other thing that you can consider. Like, if something is dragging you down and hindering your productivity and hindering your health overall, because that the whole point of this is about your health. We're talking about productivity, but productivity indirectly can affect your health. And so them saying that, I was like, that's a really good point, because that can affect your productivity. That can affect how you feel about doing other things later. That can affect your mood. That can affect your energy. Like, all of that, it all goes into that. So I just wanted to make sure that I pulled out their point, but also touch on like diet, because I know that's another good thing that Healthy Savannah is very well at doing and incorporating. So diet.
Yeah, for sure. Again, it goes to how you're replenishing, how you refilling that glass every day, and diet is a major part. How often do we eat that big meal that we know is full of stuff that we don't need, and you're sluggish for the rest of the day? You may even feel it the next day. So we just have to be extremely conscious of what we put in. Some things I always suggest is think about what's getting put into the break room. Think about what you're snacking on throughout the day, and how we can just pick lighter options that still give us that boost of energy without the sluggish after effects down the road. So not just the employees, but if you're an employer, you're a manager, you're a supervisor, a big part of your job is to keep your team motivated and up and running. And you have to do your part too about what are you allowing in the areas that employees have to use, whether that's the vending machine or just the snacks in the break room. How can we be conscious of the items we're putting into our bodies and making sure that we're making healthier choices and making it easier for employees to make those healthy choices?
Right, because those snacks will sneak up on you. I talk to people a lot. I'm like, "What are you eating?" And then their diet sounds like pretty legit. Like, "Oh, I had some lean meat and then I had some vegetables and this." I'm like, "Well, something's not adding up." And then they start talking about the snacks. So, "Oh, well, I did have some chips here and I had some Debbie snack cakes over here." So then I'm like, now they're starting to add up. And a lot of times when you're working, depending on your kind of your, I guess, your makeup and how you are in your personality may depend on what you like to do. Some people like, I just work right through it. Some people like, I need a little snack along the way. It's making sure that you have the healthy snacks. And the other thing is to make sure that you're eating the right thing. You have to have the right thing available. So, like you
Yeah,
said, if they have it in the break room, if you know that they don't carry the kind of snacks that you need in the break room, then you may have to park five, that walk that we talked about at the grocery store, but plan out what you're going to pick up at the grocery store for your own snacks that are going to be healthy so that you can refuel throughout the day.
yeah, and I'll say we've come a long way with the quality of what a healthy snack is now. I know there's a stigma that the healthier you eat, the worse the flavor gets. I don't think that's the truth anymore. Just getting fresh fruit or fresh vegetables can be extremely good. But we've got trail mix. There's the super light popcorn that you can get now. The veggie sticks are super good. They come in the what looks like a potato chip bag. There's a
Mm.
ton of options that we can do to really redesign how we snack, and we just got to make the effort.
Right. The other thing I want to touch on is sleep too, because I think people sleep on sleep, don't think about how important sleep is, right? Being able to, like, you need to rest. You have to have a reset, and sleeping will also help to kind of like shut things down, help you to be able to come back. Because there's sometimes I'm like trying to work on something, can't get this idea out, doesn't make sense. Like, how do I work this? And then I'm like, just take a rest. I take a little quick nap or something like that. And I come in, I'm like, oh, now I know what to do. I kind of figured it out. So I think sleeping can also really help with productivity. It actually seems like, well, I'm taking a break and I'm not doing anything. But it kind of goes along with like taking that break. So your break can be exercising, getting out and doing that, or your break can be like a 10-15 minute, I'm just resting my eyes, kind of resting myself and calming down.
Yeah, and I think the biggest barrier people experience with sleep is it's their quality of the sleep that's keeping them up. It's not always I decide to stay up super late today and watch TV or do something else. Is once I lay down, I'm waking up constantly, or I can't even get to the first phase of the sleep. That's reducing the amount of hours I get every night, and then I'm groggy the next day. So what studies have shown, and Harvard Business Journal did a huge study with thousands of people, and what they found is the more productive you are, the higher the quality of your sleep. So when you are eating correctly, you're being physically active, you're doing stuff throughout the day, once you actually do lay down, you're going right to sleep. You just have to
Mhm.
build up that almost physical activity or whatever it may be, exhaustion, to improve that quality of sleep. I know my wife, when she gets the best sleep on the day she goes to the gym. And obviously the gym is a great option, but there's other ways in which you can get that physical activity in. So once that gets worked in, like I said in the beginning, you build that cycle. So now you're productive during the day, you got better sleep at night, you feel better the next day, it's easier for you to be productive again.
That's good. Like you making all these connections because I was thinking about, okay, like thinking about all of these benefits. And sometimes we think about, oh, this will help with this. But like you said, even being active, because we talk about sleep, but we want like good quality sleep. There's one thing to rest. There's one thing to be there and be restless all night and only, I laid in the bed for 8 hours, but I only really slept for 2 or 3 of them and I'm still like tired the next day. But if you start implementing some of these things and you burn your energy the right way, then you will start to see the benefits. I'm sleeping better. My mood is better. I'm more creative. I have a burst of energy to do some of these things that I really want to do. My stress is down. I'm not as overwhelmed. Like there are so many benefits. So not only am I not more productive, but I'm also healthier and I have a better well-being at the end of the day. And like from this, I can tell you're very passionate about like what you do and how you do it. You did your training at Indiana University. From there, you worked like parks and recreation across the US, but now you're with Healthy Savannah. And Healthy Savannah's mission is to lead and support the culture of a healthy of health in Savannah. And you guys do that. You guys do a really, really good job of that because you like really connect with the community. What do you guys need? What makes sense for you? How can we make this make sense? So tell me, how do you guys like tell us more about like Healthy Savannah, kind of what you do and how you do it?
Yeah, healthy Savannah, and thank you for your words. I really do appreciate that.
Yeah.
We try to do exactly what you just said, and Healthy Savannah has been awesome ever since I've been with the organization. We were founded about 16 years ago by former Savannah Mayor Otis Johnson. And for some of the people who are longtime Savannah residents, you may recall when Dr. Otis Johnson was in office, he actually suffered a heart attack. And this is Dr. Otis Johnson, who's a tall, slim African American male. And if you were to ever see him, he looked like the perfect picture of health. But he suffered a heart attack. And thankfully, he recovered from it. And one of the things that he realized in that recovery was, wow, if this can happen to me, then it can happen to any of my constituents, any of the residents of Savannah. So, what can I do in my position to change the culture of health and reduce those cases as they occur over the breadth of our city? And so that's how Healthy Savannah was founded. And 17 years later, we've dedicated ourselves to working with the community to identify what barriers exist and how we can address them when it comes to health. So that's physical activity, that's nutrition. We've recently begun working around breastfeeding and immunization, so getting people the proper vaccinations they may need, and just putting forth the fact that breastfeeding is one of the best things you can do for a child and how we can make it easier for our mothers to do so. So we're constantly looking for opportunities to just improve overall health, especially for our minority populations. So low wealth African Americans and Hispanics throughout Chatham County. And we're excited with the work we've been able to do. The CDC recently awarded us our second REACH grant, and REACH stands for Racial and Ethnic Approaches to Community Health. So it's a $5+ million grant that was awarded to us to do this type of work. So we're constantly looking for opportunities to collab and put those funds to good use to change the way our city is ran as far as health goes.
Yeah, you can talk about some of the projects that you guys have done because because you like you said, you guys are about nutrition, you're about exercise. I know that you guys get together with different partners in the community. You guys have a lot of partners and different people that you partner with to continue with your mission. But there's certain things that you guys have completed and have done. And so people say, well, maybe we want a walking trail. You guys said, well, let's see how we can make that make sense. So talk about like some of the projects that you guys have completed to make us a healthier Savannah.
Yeah, I say one of the biggest accomplishments that Healthy Savannah had was the smoke-free air ordinance. And
Mm.
so, if some of you all remember, there was a time where you could walk into a restaurant, a bar, or wherever, and there's a ton of secondhand smoke because it was completely legal for people to smoke anywhere they wanted to. But what we noticed is the health effects that was having on our population, specifically those in our workforce who had to work at these restaurants and work at these stores and who are around this secondhand smoke literally hours on end. And so we partnered with the health department and the city, and we started the smoke free air movement, the breathe easy movement. And as years passed, that finally got passed as an ordinance. So now it's against the law to smoke in those areas like that. And once that occurred, the county followed, and then several municipalities throughout the state of Georgia followed suit as well. And we can see just through the data the change in cancer and heart disease that followed the passing of that ordinance. So it's something we're extremely proud of, and we want to continue to protect that ordinance and strengthen it as time passes, and we got vape and hookah bars and so forth. Just things that we know have the potential to hurt the people in the workforce and hurt the people that visit those places. Um, Another big thing that we worked on, as you mentioned, was the our trail network here in Savannah and Chatham County. And so we've been advocates of the Tide to Town Trail, which is a 30-mile walking and biking trail network we want to see built for the city of Savannah and eventually branch out to the surrounding county. We've made some traction in that area. There's 3 miles called the Tremelier Park Trail that's currently built from Lake Mayer up to Duran Avenue. And we're expecting additional 3 miles to begin construction later this year. So we're extremely excited as we move closer and closer to that full loop that will hopefully eventually encircle the city, and the opportunities for not just recreation and exercise that those trails provide, but actual transportation infrastructure for people who need to get to the grocery store or get to work or get to school. They have a means of transportation that isn't a car that they can use. So we're extremely excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, you guys do like some really great work. You're really community focused, and like I said, what I really like is that you find out and partner with that community, because there are a lot of people say, "Oh, they need this," and they just put it there. But it's like, okay, like, is that what you need? I may think I know what you need, but you may say, "No, I don't really think I need that. I need this." And then how can we make it make sense? So I know a lot of people appreciate what you do. I know I appreciate like what you do. I see you guys are very active in the community, do a lot to try to get people out, make a lot of awareness about, activity and diet and all of that kind of stuff. So tell them how they can find you guys.
Yeah, the best ways to get in touch with us is number one through our social media. So if you are on Facebook, you can just search Healthy Savannah and we'll pop right up. And that's where you can find all of our most recent updates, our schedules for our group walks that we do every Tuesday. All of that is listed on our social media page on Facebook as well as Instagram. So just search Healthy Savannah and you'll see that purple logo pop up at the top. The other best way to get in touch with us is our website, which is www.healthysavannah.org. If you go there on the home page, you can sign up for our newsletter and get a monthly update that's not filled with fluff. It's all great information for you all. Sign up for our newsletter. If you explore our website, you'll even find a new map that we put up, which lists all the areas throughout Chatham County that we've walked, and we give you details on how it is. Does it have sidewalks? Is it ADA accessible? Is it a wooded area? And every bit of information you may need to know, we got it mapped out so that you can plan out your next walk or group walk. So check out our website, check out our socials, or just get in touch with me directly. My email is armand@healthysavannah.org.
Awesome. And before we go, is there anything else that you would like to leave them with in regards to productivity, with health, any of that?
Yeah, I would say just remember some is always better than none. So just get what you can get in when you can get it in and use that and build onto it. So if you have the choice between doing just a tiny bit, you may think it's insignificant, but use it as a building stone and go from there.
Awesome. That is great advice because that's what happens with the overwhelm. It's like I have so much to do and this and that, and then nothing gets done. But if you just start with the little, a lot of times that little will give you motivation to kind of keep going. Take your 5 minute break, take your 10 minute break, stretch your legs, walk away from it, say, I need a moment. It's okay. And a lot of times, just taking that moment for yourself to exercise, to stretch your legs, whatever, will then help give you that boost that you need to keep going. It helps that cycle that he was talking about earlier, because at the end of the day, it is about being well and doing the best that you can. And you want to enjoy what you're doing. So then being able to enjoy it. So until next time, I am wishing you guys much healing. And I thank you, Mr. Armand, for joining us on today. And we will see you guys soon. Take care.